Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, the question I'm going to be answering is, are God's 10 Commandments enough for man? The 10 Commandments were a set of laws that God gave to ancient Israel. Until today, they're well known and often referenced. But in this video, we're going to pretend that they're the only set of laws existing. Would we still be able to govern ourselves? Or would we find that they're insufficient as we try to apply them in day-to-day life? Let's begin by quickly reviewing these 10 commandments. I've shortened some of them just to make it brief. Law number 1, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Law number 2, thou shalt not make any idol or graven image and worship it. Law number 3, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Law number 4, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Law number 5, honor thy father and thy mother. Law number 6, thou shalt not kill. Law number 7, thou shalt not commit adultery. Law number 8, thou shalt not steal. Law number 9, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Law number 10, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's property. Each of these laws has both a physical and spiritual component. The physical component is what you literally get from the law. For example, thou shalt not kill means don't murder anyone. But buried within them is the spirit or essence of the law. And when we understand the essence of the law, then it begins to govern every aspect of our lives. Paul explained in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6, that it is the spirit or essence of the law that is the more important side. Who also hath made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. In addition, Christ said, God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. If you read John chapter 4, verse 24. This means that when we take the essence or spirit of these laws and use them to live our lives, then we don't really need any other law, according to Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 to 23. Let me now pick 4 of those 10 commandments, and we'll discover how the spirit of those laws governs a major segment of our lives. For instance, the essence of the law, thou shalt not kill, is that we should have value for life, because it's a sacred thing that God has given to man. When we live by this principle, we won't injure people, kill people, take revenge, abandon our families if we're parents, deceive people if we're pastors, or create conflicts in the world as nations so we can manufacture weapons people will use to kill one another and that we make the profit. The key thing is that we don't wish for the harm of others. As John said, whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer, and ye know that no murderer hath eternal life abiding in him. 1 John chapter 3, verse 15. Or if you take the law, thou shalt not commit adultery. With this, we learn to adopt a sense of holiness and loyalty to the place we are in. This will discourage us from even lusting after another man's wife in the first instance, which Christ said in Matthew chapter 5, verses 27 and 28, is the real adultery, before we do it physically. This same spirit will also make us reject the temptations of Satan the devil, who was described in Proverbs chapter 6 and 7 as an adulterous woman. You can see that in Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 to 11, where Jesus rejected the offer Satan made to him, and in Acts chapter 5, verses 29 and 30, where the apostles refused to yield to the evil desires of the Sanhedrin. You can also take the law, thou shalt not bear false witness. The spirit behind this law is that we should always stand with what is true. When we adopt this spirit, we won't lie when we're in court as witnesses. Neither will we spread false news on the media. We won't gossip things about people we know aren't true just to spoil their name. We won't decide to be false prophets and prophesy what we know God has not said, as many people did in the Bible, according to Ezekiel chapter 13, verses 1 to 16, Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 14, and other texts. Micaiah the prophet certainly had the spirit of not bearing false witness, which was why he could boldly say that devils had inspired the prophets of Ahab to support Ahab's plan in 1 Kings chapter 22. A final example is the first law God gave, thou shalt have no other gods before me. God was not just referring to the gods of other religions. He was referring to anything, in fact, that we decide to elevate above him. This could be our money, our job, our car, our cell phone, our government, our friends, or whatever else. When we have the spirit of making God a priority, then he will remain number one in our lives, irrespective of what we engage in. The other commandments do the same job. Honor thy father and thy mother is the one law children need to prepare themselves for a bright future. Not coveting our neighbor's property removes the spirit for competition, theft, and anxiety, as we are content with our own belongings. We can go on and on. We can now see that the 10 Commandments actually hit every aspect of our lives. Thus, when we understand the essence of the law, we really don't need any other law to govern us. Isn't it great how we can make our lives so simple? No need for all the jargon. Let's just keep the simple guidelines God gave to us and humanity will be at rest. And I think that is where I'll stop on answering the question, are God's 10 Commandments enough for man? Even though they're short and simple, sometimes less is more. And I guess regarding these commandments in particular, they kind of summarize the way that we as humans should see life as a whole. And when we adopt the spirit behind these laws, we'll just see that every part of our lives will be governed by those laws. So, if you enjoyed this video and learned something new today, then I'd appreciate it if you click the like button and also the subscribe button. And if you want to know when we come back with another video, then you know what to do. You click the notification bell. Anyway, have a good day and God bless you.